We're joined today by Peter Zeiler, Director of Office of Economic Development, Mecklenburg. Welcome, Peter. Thanks for making time to join us.
I'm absolutely delighted to do it, Keva. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Of particular interest to us, Peter, Mecklenburg County approved a COVID-19 stabilization fund for small business, and certainly want to get into that. But even before that, I know you and I have had conversations a year, 2 years ago about a micro lending fund and how, I guess you could say, what a great time for that to come to fruition now. So share a little bit about the backdrop around the Office of Economic Development, your role and the role of the county in economic development.
Sure, thank you for the opportunity. Mecklenburg County launched its first Office of Economic Development almost 5 years ago today. We started with just me as the first employee. We've now grown to a staff of 8. We're a full-service economic development agency with business retention, business expansion, small business support, minority and small business support for purchasing within the county. One of the things we did this past October was launch a small business loan fund. And what we did in 2016, 2017 was take a look at what was going on in the small business environment within Mecklenburg County. And what we clearly saw is that the banks and the CDFIs were unable to lend at amounts under $75,000. So we went out and we found $2.75 million of county money, and we have made that available for small businesses, either startups or small businesses looking to grow. We have the Carolina Small Business Development Fund operating that program for us, and it's been very successful so far. We've already got some great success stories of people able to start new businesses. But when we saw COVID-19 and we saw the impact it was beginning to have on small businesses, we knew that that $2.75 million was not going to be enough, and that we needed something that was a little bit more flexible. And as a response, we've created the COVID-19 Emergency Small Business Stabilization Loan Fund. And this is really targeted at businesses that need something to get them over the next 2 to 4 months until their SBA or other funding starts to come into place, or when the restrictions on travel and social distancing are released and they can actually open up and start beginning to have some more customers coming back into their locations.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now there are 2 distinct funds, and we can get into those a little more. The first is the Small Business Emergency Stabilization Loan Fund. Talk a little bit of, and the second one really is around the Micro Business Stabilization Fund. Talk about the distinction and then the process for pursuing those funds.
Well, first off, go to mecnc.org/EDO, and you'll be able to find information on both of these programs immediately. That's going to be a great resource that actually has links directly to the applications for both programs. So I'd encourage any of your viewers to do that as quickly as possible. These funds are limited, so there is a good opportunity they are going to be spoken for pretty quickly. So I'd encourage folks to just almost stop watching now and go go get it as quickly as you can.
Don't pass go.
But exactly. But with that said, there are 2 distinctions between the programs, and it's really that they're targeted at 2 different populations of businesses, and they also have 2 distinct funding sources. The first is our micro business program, which is targeted for businesses that have 5 or fewer employees. And this is really, this is a grant with forgivable terms up to $10,000. This is being funded through the county's Community Development Block Grant programming. This is federal dollars that come to us from the federal government through the Housing and Urban Development Program. And these are really targeted for low income and moderate income businesses. So there are some restrictions around the amount of money that you're paying your employees, and it's really targeted for those small businesses that really have employees that are maybe at the median to lower income ranges. Because it is a federal program, it is available only in the towns of Cornelius, Huntersville, Davidson, Matthews, Pineville, and then the unincorporated territory. Charlotte and Hill are not included. And this is because they already have their own CDBG distribution from the federal government. We're only allowed to spend these dollars in those locations. We'd love to be able to help the other communities, but our hands are tied by federal regulation. So this is a forgivable loan, 0% interest. Please apply for it. It's really targeted at the small businesses, like maybe a 1 or 2 person hair salon that that is facing some challenges and needs some money to continue paying rent, to continue paying employees, to pay some deliverables, and keep operating until they are able to find other stabilization funds. Now, the larger fund is our emergency small business stabilization fund. This is a $5 million fund that is available to any business located and operating in Mecklenburg County that has 50 or fewer employees. It is a $10,000 to $35,000 loan range. The minimum is 10, the cap is 35,000. These are funded through general fund dollars that the county has set aside for emergencies, just like this. We've been able to pull that $5 million out and place it with our partners at Carolina Small Business Development Fund. They will be administering the loan for us. It is a 3% interest rate on the loan, and that's critical. By state law, we are not allowed to charge below prime interest rate on any sort of loans. So while we would love to make this a 0% interest rate, by state law, we're not allowed to do that. That said, we have some very aggressive and wonderful loan terms. It is interest only for the first year, and then there is a 9-year repayment of the loan. So if we look at someone borrowing the maximum, their first year payments are going to be $88 a month, and then we'll go up to $270 a month after that. So this is really a great way to get some capital in early that will allow you to continue operating and make those bills and make those payments that you need to do, including getting maybe some payroll in for some of your employees. That allows you to stay solvent as a small business until the SBA loans and other loan and funding is available. We know that a lot of the federal dollars right now are very hard to get and can take anywhere from 3 to 6 months to track down. So we want to make sure that there's something available immediately. This went live this morning on April 13th. There's already a lot of really great interest in it. We're going to look to see if we can find partners or others that can help us add additional funds to the program if we can in the future.
That is exceptional, Peter. Congratulations to you and the board and the county leadership on the vision on this. Talk quickly, if you could, a little bit about the process of making application. What's that like for someone who's going to apply?
Both applications are simplified. So the application for the Small Business Stabilization Loan Fund is literally 1 page, and it is online. What we are looking for is simple documentation around knowing that you are an actual real business, you are who you say you are, and then some simple documentation, whether it's tax returns or profit and loss statements that show absent the COVID-19 impact, you would be able to meet all your bills and you'd still be operating profitably. And I think that's kind of a key distinction. This is really for businesses that are already operating and already profitable. We do have our other loan fund available if folks are looking to create a startup. We know and we hear a lot of really great ideas for folks looking to start new businesses as a reaction to COVID-19, and we still have our $2.75 million loan fund available for that. But this is really reserved and targeted for profitable operating businesses that have been significantly impacted and are facing potential permanent closure because of COVID-19. So we ask for some basic documentation around that. The other key aspect of this is once we receive your completed application and you have all your paperwork into the Carolina Small Business Fund, we are guaranteeing the funds within 10 calendar days or less. So this is not a drawn out 3-4 week process. This is a simple application process, limited documentation, money in 10 days.
Wonderful. I had the opportunity to speak with several of the leaders of the Affinity Chambers last week, and one of their big concern was, of course, small and minority-owned businesses having access to funds. And so the timeliness of this, I know that was a big issue of concern for that group and those leaders. And so they are expressed much gratitude to the county for doing this. So again, congratulations on your leadership. Well, one last question, Peter. You mentioned about the potential of other partners to come alongside you with this. What might that look like? Who might a potential partner be in helping extend this this funding opportunity?
That's a really good question, and at this point, we don't know. What we do know is this fund is likely to be tapped out pretty quickly. It went live this morning, and the numbers of what we're seeing come in are already staggering. So we are now going to pivot to look to reach out to high net worth individuals, maybe some corporations, maybe some philanthropies that are local to Mecklenburg County, and try to see if we can maybe do a second or third round of funding for this loan fund. It's absolutely critical that we find more funding for this to be able to help as many small businesses survive and weather this pandemic as best we can.
That is critical. Well, so we'll consider this your ask if you're listening to this Zoom and you have interest in supporting Mecklenburg County, give Peter a call. Peter, and would you recite? Go ahead.
And the beauty of this is it is a loan fund. So it is not it's not a cash contribution that you never see it back. So if investors are interested, it's principal and interest coming back to you over time.
Wonderful. Great investment, your community. Recite the web address one more time for folks to make sure they got it.
Sure. You can go to one of two addresses. You can go to mecnc.gov/EDO. That's the Office of Economic Development website, and that has the links to both the micro business loan and the Emergency Stabilization Fund. Or you can go to carolinasmallbusiness.org, and it has a direct link to the administrator for our Small Business Stabilization Loan Fund.
Great, great, great. Peter, thank you for your leadership. Thank you for what you're doing and the vision to have this even before we needed it. And because we all know that small businesses are such a vital part of our economy, and I think now more than ever we see the significance of that. So thank you again. We definitely keep us in touch, and we'll get back with you on any kind of updates that come out.
Sounds great. Thank you for the time, and thank you for the opportunity, Keva. You have a great day.
All right, you do the same.